You see a bright wall behind me. That's because the sun is out here in Louisville, Kentucky, hanging out with Barry Spears. My name is Louie Barry. This is another edition of SoCal Saturdays, hanging out with our friends, of course, at AmWager and AmWager.com, and, of course, the good folks at the Sporting Tribune and the SportingTribune.com. Barry, welcome in. We'll post-Preakness edition. We had a good week last week on this show as far as handicapping, giving out on-top winners in that one. In fact, a little cold pick three from your boy here, races 5, 6, and 7 last week. Always love when that sort of thing happens. Barry, it's your week this week, my friend. No pressure.
No, none at all. I wish I played that pick three because it played okay.
Yeah, I might have paid 200 to 1 on 50 cents. Yeah, that would have been all right. In that case, Barry hanging out with us as he does every week here on SoCal Saturdays. Like I said, you can catch us at the Sporting Tribune. And of course, we encourage you to go check out our friends at AmWager. That's AmWager.com, AmWager.com. Get the AmWager Edge. It's an online platform built for horse players, by horse players, to deliver speed, power, those top-tier features that you need to hit your bets today, whether it's a pick six or something as simple as a win bet, they've got you covered. Our friends over there at AmWager, a 100% deposit match right now, up to $150 in. For new customers, live in California, all the good things, go check them out, AmWager.com. And this is the kind of day, Barry, that I'm so glad we've been doing this show for months now, because we've gotten to know these horses a little bit, right? Once we get into these state-bred kinds of races, it's a big part of what they do at Santa Anita, at Del Mar, et cetera. Los Al, of course, these Cal-bred races. We're going to get a full card of them on Saturday ahead of that massive card on Monday as well for Memorial Day in Southern California. But a lot of value in this card too, Barry.
Absolutely. This day notoriously usually yields some big prices, and the multis are usually nice and healthy, and you get some horses that are kind of flying below the radar in other places that show up in these spots and end up running well. So, it's always a fun day.
We'll see a lot of horses that have been running exclusively in Cal Company, some that are coming back out of Open Company because of the conditions or because of the purses. And so we'll be looking for all of those things today. But we do start with race 1. It's a maiden special weight, so we will see something like 5 or 6 stakes on this card, Barry. But of course, mixed in are the maidens, the claimers, and the optional claimers. We'll start with a maiden special going a mile on the turf there, $60,000. And this is for Cal breds, 3, 4, and 5 years old. It would be very easy to go chalky here, Barry, so I imagine you're not going to go very chalky.
Definitely not. Although I think the horse that I picked will probably be close to second choice. I went with number 5, 13 on top. Now, this horse didn't really get a good run at it the last time on April 5th. Just didn't get out of the gate well. It was 34 to 1 that day, off slowly. But this is a much easier spot. And with that race under this horse's belt, I think there's imminent improvement. Despite the bad start and everything, the horse really didn't run all that badly, almost split the field. And since that start, the workouts have been much, much better. And that indicates that this horse is going to step up and do something better this time. Mark Glatt is really good second time out, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, 20% second out for Mark Glatt. I've got this horse third in my handicapping. I would like to see, Barry, because what I worry about here is what we've seen from Kazushi Kimura this 17 times hitting the board that aren't wins, but only 5 wins to start his campaign here. It doesn't mean he can't get over the hump there for sure. But I have him third in my handicapping. I did go to the 8, 9-2 on the Hector Barrios ridden Winter Snow. Hector Barrios, sneaky good 23% at the start of this meet. Horse finished third by a half length last out. We're second in the form cycle here. That's a great angle for trainer Jeff Mullins, who hits at 18% doing that. 28% these two working together at Santa Anita most recently. I know you have that horse in your second spot. We both have 5, 8, and 1 in some kind of combination here. So the one horse on the inside is going to probably be the favorite just by the connections between Craig Lewis and Juan Hernandez here in Ride Gold. What do you like about Ride Gold?
I like the market improvement once this horse got to the grass, and then stretching out seems to be very logical. The only reason I didn't put this horse on top is because I think this horse might get some pressure early from We the Hobby, the 2 horse, and maybe another one that might show speed, somebody like California Rocks or French Moonlight. I don't expect this pace to be just a slow dawdling up front where a horse like Ride Gold could win just going easy.
Right.
We'll have his hands full early, or hers.
I'm interested too. The two we didn't mention, we are the hobby, or we the hobby, excuse me, is the second favorite on the morning line here, Barry. Is one though that has tried 7 times in this exact company to break her maiden, and it just hasn't happened to this point. Are you seeing the same thing I am there?
Absolutely. 7 cuts against this group might be a little bit too much and calls for a little bit of class relief.
Yeah, it might be time for a claimer with the two there. This is SoCal Saturday. Barry Spears, Louie Barry hanging out with you. Thanks for making us part of your horse racing weekend, your Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully, getting to hang out, watch some ponies, good weather wherever it is that you live. Race 2 is a maiden special. We see the 2-year-olds here, Barry. How about that? Bunch of first timers going 4.5 for $60,000 here. And so make sure to check this one out. A couple of second timers in here, Barry, but where did you end up landing in race 2?
I ended up on the 2 Smiling Carmen. George Parabon, this is kind of what he does. He gets horses prepared first time out that go really, really fast. He has 2 in this race, and I suspect one of the 2, if not both, will be really quick out of the gate. I'm going to go with the longest of the 2, Smiling Carmen, but this horse's body of work is at least, you know, uh, workout wise, seems just a tad or slightly bit better.
Got it. Yeah, I went with the 3 here in Final Table Lady, the other Jorge, if you will, in this spot out of the Parabon barn. Something that I've learned from Barry hanging out is to watch those gate works. And this one was a little bit faster out of the gate on May 16th than his partner, or her partner, excuse me, in Smiling Carmen. So I'm going on that. Another daughter of Stay Thirsty, very similar sort of breeding here as well. Different ownership, which means we don't have to couple this entry, which is nice, Barry. If this were New York, they'd probably try to make them couple. It's just how New York works. But going out there, I do think I've had the 3 and the 2 on top here. You went 2-3. I landed on the 6th and the 3rd spot in Liberation. This is a 5-2 starter for John Sadler, another guy who's good with first timers for sure. This one's been working very steadily in that 48 range, over 4 furlongs at Santa Anita. They tried this horse earlier, if you look, Barry, on the synthetic for the workouts there. And I wonder if that was potentially related to weather, and that was where you could work out that day, or if they were going to see if this horse was, maybe set up for a turf sprint, something like that, a son of Omaha, or daughter of Omaha Beach in this case. It looks like they were like, nah, you know what? Never mind. It looks exactly the same on the 2 surfaces. So we'll just go with whatever's available in the condition book. So I ended up 3, 2, and 6. I know you have the 1 in the 3rd spot here.
Yeah, I thought Liberation is probably be a nice horse down the road. I'm actually kind of surprised they're running a horse like that in a race like this, because it kind of screams like this horse wants to get on the turf, but I'm guessing a turf sprinter. So this wouldn't be too
Mm,
bad of a spot, but there might not be anything that fits the bill until later on in the summer. Um, but I thought That Ain't Right might be able to run a little bit. This horse is coming in from Emerald, has one workout at Santa Anita that was pretty good comparison to everybody else. And Steve Sherman familiar, isn't new to the circuit. He
right.
understands and knows where his horses can fit. This is a decent spot. Drawing the rail isn't the best place, but if this horse can get out of the gate,
Yeah.
might be trouble.
Yeah, did move down from Emerald Downs, as you mentioned, for her last work at Santa Anita. Looked totally great doing it as well. Race 3 there at Santa Anita on Saturday is another maiden special weight going a mile. This one is for fillies and mares, 3, 4, and 5 again. So we're trying to fill out these cards. We'll get 8 in here. Barry, I'll go first in this one. In race 3, I did land on the 5, so trying to beat the favorite with an 8-1 Wildcat Danzig here, son of Danzig Candy, of course, or daughter of Danzig Candy. I keep doing that. But he's going to try routing for the second time here. And I thought showed a lot, Barry. If you go back and watch this race, tons of traffic for this one, but also just once in a while we see horses just second time ever on the track, that kind of thing. And they're kind of looking around and kind of figuring it out. I think this one, Under Drayton Van Dyke, who gets the mount again here, figured it out about halfway through the race, got real close. Okay, Rose is also in this race. This horse finishing just behind him, or her, excuse me, and Winter Snow. And so interested to see if this second time routing can't get us there. And I think we're probably going to get every bit of 8-1 on the 5 here in race 3. I know you love the 3 in this spot.
Absolutely. At 15-1, I really
Let's
couldn't
go.
resist. I thought this horse just didn't get a good run with it, just like I spoke about before, where the horse just kind of got out and just ran around there and didn't really do much. Didn't look like there was any intent other than to get a race into this horse. This is a more logical spot, especially kind of on the stretch out.
Hmm.
Mike Pipey does pretty good on the stretch out.
Yep.
Limited starters, but somewhere around 27, 28%,
Yeah.
and does well with second time starters. Gets Apprentice Orantes in the saddle, getting a weight break. All those things seem to help. At 15-1, an English Channel horse out of Speightstown mare, I got to give a shot at a mile.
Yeah, 15-1's not the end of the world for sure on the certainly on the value. I like the horse right next to it in OK Rose that I mentioned, finished right ahead of the horse that I'm going with on top in Wildcat Danzig. But this one, unfortunately, those 8 starts, but does have 6 times hitting the board here. I love the move to Armando Ayuso. This is second in the form cycle here, and I thought Armando moved this horse forward last time. Barry probably just needed to time the ride just a little bit better, and I think is very, very capable of doing it in this spot. I know you have that horse in your third position. What about Odie's Memory Lane, the 4 horse here?
Yeah, that horse has a potential to be lone speed here and could
Mm,
shake loose, and,
good
and
point.
they might not be able to catch
Yeah,
this
good
horse.
point.
If that's very, very possible.
Right.
The only thing is the price. I'm not really sure I can trust this horse going a mile at a short price, but definitely has the ability.
It's interesting too because the connections on the morning line favorite and Hello Kid, Oh Kid, Oh, which is not a good way to name a horse. Don't ever do that again. The is this one did try the turf route a couple of times and has been right there under Giovanni Franco. Kent Desormo is going to get the ride here, the mount for Librato Barosio. That one just I know I'm being hypocritical here, but at that kind of price with Kent Desormo, I would rather have Armando Ayuso on OK Rose, even at 7-2, than a 2-1 on Hello Kiddo Kiddo. And so I'm leaving the 6 out of my handicapping here, Barry, in this spot. But it's not because I think the horse is totally incapable. But we'll move on to race 4 again. We're presented by Amwager and Amwager.com. 100% deposit match right now for new customers over there, up to $150. Get that edge and get Amwager right now, live in California as well. Race 4 comes up next for us, and it is the first of the stakes races on this card. It's called the Thor's Echo, Barry, but is there a moment when you think great California sprinter? There's one who just retired, a spectacular one in the Chosen Vron. At what point do we rename this race after the Chosen Vron, since he only won it 308 years in a row? It's a question. I mean, it's at some point we got to ask the question, when do we name this race after the Chosen Vron? Except that the Thor's Echo was quite a great horse in his own rights. 6 furlongs on the dirt there, 100,000 in the pool here for 3 and up in this spot. Barry, I'll let you go first with our first stakes race of the day. You landed on the 5 in Geezer. Is that like a name play about yourself?
Yes, very old. Um, but
Yes.
I thought this race was interesting because Booksmart, even on paper, Booksmart kind of stands out, but I don't think Booksmart's going to get the kind of trip that Booksmart needs to win this race.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
there's some people like, or some horses like Tapatio Leo, and even inside Private Gem that'll give this horse some
Yeah.
problems early. And I think that might weaken him enough for a horse like Geezer to come through. This horse has a few races to go back to on the surface that would definitely win this race if the setup is right, and I think it is.
I've got Private Gem on top for the reason that you just said. I think he's a little bit faster from the gate than is Booksmart. Booksmart tends to break well, but I do think you'll get a nice break from Private Gem, who will be able to sit just next to him. This son of Looking at Lucky, all he does is win. And I know he's switching back to the dirt here, but that's something Mark Glatt does just fine. And frankly, we see so often out in California, Barry, is horses switching between the turf and dirt courses, especially there at Santa Anita. It's no knock at all against Booksmart, who's been running an open company. And I think neither of us would be terribly surprised if he won this race. In fact, I'm 2-3 on top in this spot. It's just, I think Private Gem is just a gamer. Only 4 runs in his life, has won 3 of them, 1 second place finish. And that was in Stakes Company over 7 furlongs last year at Santa Anita in the Golden State Juvenile. And frankly, that horse had no business not winning that race. It just never quite got up to pass Magic Spoon in the stretch. Should have been right there. And so I think that's the kind of company we're looking at here. And I think Private Gem can be the best of that group. After that, I went outside to Final Storm, the 7-horse, who I know is second in your handicapping. So I'll let you go ahead and describe Final Storm here.
Yeah, I think getting back to the dirt is what the doctor
Yeah,
ordered, and to this
no
level.
question.
That last time he's just way overmatched. Yakovlev really ran a great race that day, and Albuquerque Charm. Those are really nice horses that were in that event. Probably better than what's in this one, even though it was on the turf. But I
Fair enough.
think this horse is a better horse on the dirt. Should get a decent trip here. It's just a matter of how far he's going to be back, and that's why I put him second. I'm not really too sure how far back this horse is going to be, and I kind of took two closers to round out my picks here with the 6 as well.
I like the move to Antonio Fresu here too for Final Storm. I think that his riding style won't allow this horse to just sit off of it as far back as he has been in some races. Like you said, if you go back to that race on April 20th when he was facing optional claiming California bred company in that one, not only was he back 5.5 lengths, which he cannot do, I don't think, in this company. If he does that, we're talking about the 2 or the 3 running away with this thing, in my opinion, Barry. But if he's closer than that, if Antonio Fresu can keep him, let's say, 3 to 4 lengths off, I think he's got a legitimate shot, certainly to hit the board. That son of Blame. Race 5 will round out, of course, the early pick 5. It's a maiden 12-5. And Barry, like we had last week, there was an $8,000 claimer on the card last week. And I did that, and then I was totally right about the winner. So it started it started that cold pick 3 that I hit in the middle of the card. And so we're going to try to not throw our hands up at these races too much, except I'm going to do it because it worked last week. This is a mile on the dirt course there. It's for Calbreds, 15,000 in the pool here. And I want to be clear. I know we joke. Barry and I are so glad that these races are on the card because they do spice these things up like crazy. It's okay if it's a tough puzzle to figure out, right? It's okay if it's a tough nut to crack, and that's what these races are. Barry, race 5, where'd you land?
I landed on kind of a long shot here with the 4 Naval Harbor. I think this horse basically ran better positionally, not so much speed figure wise, but positionally ran a much better race. And it seems like this horse is putting it together. 12 to 1 in a race like this that looks completely wide open. Anybody could do anything. I'm willing to take a shot here on that horse.
You and I have the same 12 to 1 shot on top. This one, when it dropped into company last time, did start well and faded a little bit toward the end of the race over the 6 furlongs there. They're not going to force this one out to try to be the fastest in this group this time, Barry. And we saw, I think this horse, a son of Gig Harbor in this case, can get the kind of trip where he's sitting a little bit closer to the front rather than trying to be on the front. And instead of breaking like a bat out of hell, if they could get this thing to slow down just even a little bit, he drops 4 pounds. He drops 4 pounds here. Excuse me. This is one I agree with you. I think has a real shot to get a lot better here. The 5 next to him, Topper's Wager, is 8 to 1. Kazushi Kimura gets them out again for this one. I thought showed some progress moving forward last time out. Did get 3rd through DQ from 4th position. Obviously a problem there. Before that had been running up the track doing nothing. I wonder if the light bulb didn't go on a little bit for Topper's Wager last time out. And so I'm going to use that horse in the 2nd position here. And then, Barry, I know you just one spot out of there. Jenny's Tiz, you're going to take a shot within your 2nd spot.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a logical drop down. I know
Yeah.
this horse is coming out of $50,000 maiden claimer. The one on April 6th, this horse was behind just a runaway winner, and this horse ran pretty good behind that one. I think the drop makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't go crazy on this horse, especially at a shorter price, because this seems like a really wide open affair.
Tim McKenna does hit at 19% in maiden claimers. The favorite Silver and Black is trained by, it comes out of the Hess Barn, I should say, and he's only hit one of his last 60 and maiden claimers. And so this might be a spot where you try to beat the favorite, despite all of the experience for Silver and Black, the 7 here under Kent DeZormo in this spot. But that will round out the early pick 5 there at Santa Anita. Tomorrow we'll get into more stakes races as we move along. The Franz Valentine starts the all turf pick 3 race 6. We love that bet. $3 minimum and only a 15% takeout. Mile on the turf here. This is for fillies and mares 3 and up. in this spot here, Barry. I'll go first in race 6. I landed on the 3. This is the favorite here, Prancing Through Paris. A daughter of Sir Prance-a-Lot, was really good in the Irish O'Brien coming down the hill, but before that, did win going over the mile. This is just a winner, Barry. She's won 5 of her 13 lifetime starts, has started all over Southern California, whether it be on dirt or on turf. The good news is this is on turf. The good news is I get Armando Ayuso. The good news is I get Peter Urton. The two of them have won 4 of their last 9 races together. This horse, 4 for 7 lifetime on the turf. Not saying single here, Barry, but boy, this one feels like a big favorite in this spot. To me, not to you. You landed on the 5.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have opposing views on the
It's all
3,
right.
Prancing Through Paris. I thought that win on February 22nd was a bit soft. They went
Okay.
23:48,
Yeah.
and a horse like Sneaker was doing 22:46 and holding on the lead. Uh, that's quite a big difference in my estimation.
Okay.
And I would give the nod to a horse like Sneaker before Prancing Through Paris. But the horse I used on top is the 5 Blevy's Tiger. I think this horse is actually a little bit better than what uh, the past performances might suggest, especially going a mile. I can forgive that race on September 2nd. Horse really didn't get into it and just kind of ran around there, then got laid
Mm.
off for a long time. Comes back April 4th, runs a bang up race down the hill, backs it up with a nice one on the flat 6 furlongs. And I think stretching out seems the most logical,
Yeah.
expected thing. And I think this horse will thrive doing it in a race that's kind of up for grabs. I don't know um, where this horse would really want to sit. Hopefully,
Mm.
about second, kind of stalking outside of the 2 speeds would be perfect. Even if this horse gets shuffled inside, that might not be the worst thing in the world. But I still think this horse has a lot of potential. Has ran 2 improved races off the bench since last year, and I think that improvement continues.
Yeah, Blevy's Tiger will break from the 5. You mentioned Sneaker. You and I both have this horse second in our handicapping, and it's probably for the reason that you mentioned, was in the Irish O'Brien and did a bunch of the work there down the hill, but came back in that Royal Heroine that I am praising other horses for. And so if Sneaker could hold her own in that one over a mile, certainly she could drop into Calbred ranks and do the same. For the purposes of the pick 3 here, Barry, I would use the 1 and I would use the 3, and I would move on from this leg. I know you would definitely use the 5 in this spot, but you also have the 6 in your handicapping here. Not a huge number, but 9-2 in a 7-horse field. Not the end of the world either in Shocking Gray. We do get Juan Hernandez in the spot here.
Yeah, I mean, this horse's mile races have all been an open company. Getting the
Right.
state breds where this horse fits a lot better might make all the difference in this performance and flying a little bit under the radar. And I think that might make all the difference. If you get 6 7 to 1 on this horse, you might want to take a second look at her.
There you go. That will be the first of the late of the late stakes on the race. Again, that was the Franz Valentine in race 8. In race 7, we move back to the dirt, and this is essentially the Oaks race for California on the dirt. This is the Malaire. It is for Golden State eligible 3-year-old fillies. And we see some names in here that we get kind of used to. It's $125,000, by the way. We're going a mile and a 16th, so same distance as the Santa Anita Oaks itself. This is an interesting one because we know once we get to these dirt races, especially, I feel like I know the sires a lot better, the Mendelssohns of the world and the Stay Thirsties and the Ohms and the Bodie Expresses, what have you. Interesting field, Barry, because and this one stood out to me as I have 2 in here that are super interesting to me. You're going to try a long shot that you're going to have to talk me into in the air tonight. Is the 2 horse here? I mentioned Stay Thirsty. This is Thiago Pereira. This is Steve Knapp. What do you like about the 2 in this spot?
Well, this horse is kind of state bred, stake tested.
Hmm,
Um,
I
I
agree.
think that race on December 8th, the Soviet problem at
She was
Los
really
Al,
good. Yep.
was a really good race. At least for in comparison to everybody else's. It was a state bred stake that this is, and B, it was at a mile, where a lot of these horses haven't really gone a mile, and I think this pace might heat up. This horse proved that he could pass some horses, or she could pass some horses. I think getting back to this mile trip makes all the difference. You can put a line through that turf race, and then the 6 6.5 races is really not this horse's bag. I think this mile on the 16th trip is just what the doctor ordered. A little bit of improvement, good trip. We're in the winner circle.
She does have a win at Santa Anita, breaking her maiden back in May of 2024. I landed on top. I'm going to be super boring in this race. Almond Joy, which I like as a name, comes out of a 6.5
Great
furlong
name.
sprint win in the Evening Jewel under Kent Desormo, who keeps them out here for Aggie Ordonez. And before that, broke her maiden. I love this, Barry, because I love the angle of betting a horse coming out of a maiden win, especially if you get to watch the light go on for that, that runner at that
Mhm.
point. And this is a 3-year-old filly who took a full 8 attempts to break her maiden, but that was essentially because they got her off the turf, and now she's back to the dirt. She goes 6.5 last time. We're going to stretch from there. I think this one makes sense. This is the Munnings line. This is the hard spun line on the dam side. I think this is a horse in the case of Almond Joy that can get the 2 turns, and I think she can be a real problem in this one as well. And then I went outside of Mizo Fancy. And this is one that tried a mile and an eighth on the turf last night, has never been on the dirt, but this is a daughter of Caraconti. We get souvenir copy on the dam side, which is really interesting to me, actually. Umberto Rispoli is on unbelievable fire out there. This horse has never been worse than second in 6 lifetime starts, 2 win, 4 second places. Tried that honeymoon last time at a mile and an eighth. And yes, I know it's on the turf, but if you look at her 3 races going 2 turns, mile and an eighth, she finished second by less than a length, and by less than a half a length, neck, and nose in those races. I'm going to trust that the dirt to turf, or turf to dirt, excuse me, for Leonard Powell, who wins a fifth of his races doing that, is the right spot for her here. So I'll use Mizo Fancy as well in my handicapping. I know you like Mizo Fancy as well.
Yeah, definitely. Same reasons.
Okay.
I'm not so enthusiastic about the mile and eighth to a mile cutback,
Okay.
but I think the
Yeah, those
the dirt
Caracontis don't
is
hate
kind of
distance, do they? Yeah.
right. They like to go long, but I think the
Right.
dirt is the equalizer here, and just the fact that this horse has been really running longer and has a little bit more bottom goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that she's got a really, really serious spot here. We both left out Sunset Grazen, who will break from the 5. My guy Armando Ayuso. I don't want to necessarily lump you in with that, but Blaine Wright trains here. Is there something that we should be seeing about this horse, or are we all seeing the 0 for 3 or the 0 for 4 this year?
I think the 0 for 4 and the fact that this horse probably isn't going to get the greatest of trips because everybody's going to be trying to do what this horse wants to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough sledding, especially at a short price. I couldn't do it here.
I'm rooting for Cesar de Alba in this spot, by the way. Only 14 starters the entire year to this point with 1 winner. This is a horse in Fibonacci's ride, the 6, who has won on debut at Los Al in September last year, came back in May at the beginning of the year, was almost there against winners for the first time. Comes back, is going to try 2 turns, but this is a daughter of Clubhouse Ride. I wonder with Fibonacci's ride if we can't get something there. And this is the kind of day, Barry, where a guy, no, but seriously, this is the kind of day where a guy like Cesar de Alba, this is where he gets to win a stakes race, right? Is where he's got the kind of, he's based in SoCal. This is what he does. So that's the one I'm rooting for, at least in this spot, even though I left it out of my handicapping. Race 8, we get back to the grass here. The Crystal Water, it's a $100,000 race here, a mile on the turf. And this is for 3 and up, open company in this one, as long as you are a Cal bred. We see Coalinga Road in here, Kings River Night as well. Clouseau's in here. And one of my favorites from up there at Golden Gate Fields, Freeport Joe, will round out the field on the outside. God bless him, still running these days, doing the damn thing. You and I both landed on the 4 in here, Barry. Sometimes class going class.
Yeah, I think that's what we have here. Not to mention this horse did the same pattern 2 years ago, coming into this race with a nice 6
Yep.
furlong on the turf, then into the Crystal Waters and bang, wins by 2 into the winner's circle. Cash it. I don't see too many horses that can hang with this one in this race.
Hmm.
Uh, might lay over this field, but the 4 might definitely be the goods.
Yeah, I think the 4 is the goods here. And frankly, I mentioned that this is the second leg of that turf pick 3 that I mentioned. It is the start of the late pick 3, that $3 late pick 3 at Santa Anita every day. And with this one, Barry, because I think this is a single in the middle of that sequence for me, I'm probably going to move my $3 minimum up to more like a $5 kind of pick 5 or pick 3 in this place. Because
Ooh.
if I'm going to get value out of a horse like that, that's probably what I'm going to have to do. And so I'm with you. Kings River Knight comes in out of that, the sensational. And I think, she showed she was ready. He was ready. Oh my gosh. I'm mixing up my filly and colt races all over the place. But he was ready down the hill, just didn't have it at the end of the race. Second off the layoff here, going sprinter route, which John Sadler does really, really well. This is a horse that's had large layoffs between, and he's waited for to be ready to go. Reminds me a lot, frankly, Sadler, of course, the trainer of Flightline, just waiting for the horse to be ready in those spots. I think he knows what to do with Kings River Knight in this spot. But you have the 3 in the second spot, as do I, in Takes 3. What do we like about Takes 3?
Runs really well at a mile at this class level, or at least in state bred company. And that last race on April 5th was a lot better than it looks on paper. Was behind Beef Winslow, Paxa Wallop, and Jules Salele. And actually, Paxa Wallop is running on Monday in a stake, in one of those graded stakes they have on Monday. But this horse has been holding his own. And I think, this is a field that this horse can really.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have Clouseau in the third spot here, the 6th horse, one last out at the distance in an optional claimer against Calbreds as well. Before that was in the Haragi barn, has moved into the Papa Prodromu barn. I hate that because his stakes record isn't very good, but I'm trying to look at this race as more of a high level allowance or something like that because it is restricted to Calbreds, Barry. And so maybe Clouseau can get there, a son of distorted humor, get there for a piece at least. But man, he's just so often very, very comfortable not winning races. But frankly, before this, at Pleasanton was winning races, won at Santa Anita over the dirt. Interesting trying the turf here, but frankly, was good enough last out that it makes sense to give this kind of company and this kind of purse a run as well. What do we say about my boy Freeport Joe, though? 8 years old, still running, still out there. You see the training numbers. He's still doing the darn thing. Say to something nice about Freeport Joe.
Yeah, if he's still healthy and happy and wants to run, it looks like he's out there. He's still cashing checks.
Yes, for sure. That's exactly right. So hopefully Freeport Joe gets a piece of that. Alciel Espinosa rode him at Golden Gate Fields in an allowance in January of 2024. So God bless him. Still making all those connections. Late double will start in race 9. If you are new to the program, it is a $5 minimum on the late double, only a 15% takeout. We love those higher minimum and lower takeout bets for sure. It is race 9. This is an optional claimer, a little break from the stakes company, but we do get a nice field of 9 in this one. It's a 6 furlong sprint on the dirt here for fillies and mares, 3 and up, blah, 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 blah. As far as the condition book here, Barry, you and I both have the 7 in our top 2. You have that 7 on top in Lady Gregory. What do we like about the 7-5 favorite
here? Just a standout. I don't think this horse can be faded in this spot. There's really not much in here to compete with this horse. He really has to stub his toe or her toe in order to not win this one. She doesn't have the greatest of finishes, but she's right around it every time. She's second by a nose, third by a length and a quarter. But I think she's just head and shoulders better than these horses. Unfortunately, it comes in this race rather than one earlier, but we'll take it.
Yeah, no, Lady Gregory, 2 for 5 this year with 2 seconds on top of that. The only time finishing 4th was on the turf sprinting. We get back to the dirt here where she is 4 for 10 lifetime, 8 times hitting the board in 10 runs, 3 for 12 at the distance lifetime as well. I'm going to be a little creative here and try to use the 3-1 on the morning line. Sharp Ride, the 1 breaking for team Dean Peterson on the inside. Thiago Pereira gets them out here. This is one that we saw 2 back on the dirt, win at 6.5 furlongs by 1 billion lengths. And before that, at 6 furlongs at the claiming level. So this horse is sort of slowly moving up. It's almost ready for the claiming crown later in the year, Barry, if you will, is Sharp Ride. But yeah, if we draw a line through that turf run, this horse won its last 2 at this kind of level. And so I'll be looking for Sharp Ride, who's in for the tag, by the way, this daughter of Clubhouse Ride in Sharp Ride. You landed on the 6 in the second spot, one that I don't have in my handicapping. Billy Anti-Georgie will be riding Thirsty Trickster. What do we know? What do we need to know about this Thirsty Trickster?
I kind of had the notion that this horse might shake loose and carry him a long way. I know there's other speed in here, but I don't really know if anyone wants to really go to lead other than this horse.
Hmm.
And if this horse kind of shakes loose, it could be dangerous. I mean, these aren't the greatest of horses that we've seen on this card. And, loose leaders tend to win
Yep.
races a lot more than they should. But I think that one might stick around a long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 1 and 7 in this spot. I do think the 3 is interesting for a piece here in no cap, as the kids would say. Um, Brian Corner, Kazushi Kimura here, the two of them, not a great record together, but frankly, a very small sample size. This is one that most recently ran up the track in fifth place, but before that, back-to-back second place finishes at the distance of 6 furlongs. Interested to see this one try to get back into it, Barry. Maybe Kazushi can get this one through the line moving forward, but boy, she is just totally comfortable running in the second spot here. As far as picking up a piece of this, you like the 8. There's a silver lining as well. Oop, unmute yourself there, bud. There we
Steve
go.
Knapp does really good work off the claim.
Yes, he
And
does.
I think being forwardly placed is probably where the place to be is. This horse
Hmm.
was running in good races back east, namely at Oaklawn, Churchill, Saratoga, etc., and even at Aqueduct. But um, something obviously went amiss because the horse shows up in a $16,000 claimer at Keeneland, gets claimed, and then ends up out west in a Calbred stake, or a Calbred race. I just have the notion that this horse might be just better than most of these horses, but
Okay.
won't win on Saturday.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Clubhouse Bride on the outside, another interesting one. Drain Van Dyke keeps the mount there, was recently riding for Eric Kruyak. His son, Ian, will get this mount. And that one, the Snow Chief will close out the card. It will be race 10 on the card there at Santa Anita. It is a mile and an eighth. This is the Derby on the turf for Calbreds, 3-year-olds in this case, $125,000 on the line. And Barry, this one, you were on with me on Rabo and Co. Here at ESPN Louisville this morning, and this was one where I couldn't quite figure out the morning line. But to be fair to the morning line maker, so many of the horses trying a mile and an eighth here have been sprinters to this point. So it's not as though you got to make them line for whatever horses get carded in front of you. Would be my way to put that to its side. But boy, there's some in this spot period that I simply don't understand how, like Style Cat, for example, who we've seen go 2 turns once on the dirt. I guess we're going with the Cal Cup Derby there as our point of emphasis, whatever it might be. But it's interesting to me that horse is the favorite. I landed in a different spot. Where did you land in the closer in the Snow Chief? By the way, leg 3 of that altar pick 3.
Yeah, I landed on the 7, Got Soul. I think this horse has some versatility to him, and at least on paper, it seems like this pace might heat up with all these sprinters going longer.
Yep.
Not wildly fast, but I think a lot of these horses are going to be quitting late. And Got Soul seems to be able to, have the ability to pick up the pieces and pass horses. Uh, 8-1 seems really good price on a horse that's won 2 in a row coming into this race, and seems like he's ready. He's ready to make that step up, and that's what I want to see. He's training well coming into this, and I'm all for it. I like this horse quite a bit.
Armando Ayuso was aboard the one Western Freedom last out, won the race, was aboard Santa Barbarian, who won his race last out. He chose to ride Got Soul in this spot. So, literally, of the 8 horses in this field, Barry, 3 of them were ridden to victory by Armando Ayuso last out. And he chose Got Soul in this spot. You and I landed on the same horse. We watched him now twice in a row go the 2 turns on the turf. And by the way, you mentioned the versatility. It cannot be overstated. Breaks his maiden, getting to the front, staying in front. Last out, sits just off the pace and blows by horses in the stretch. I think that's what we're going to see on Saturday. I think this horse is going to be sitting third, fourth behind all the sprinters that you mentioned, that I mentioned to open this race, and get that best turn of foot very late in the race. I look for him to not just win this race. I look for him to be very much the best in this one But there are other ones in here that are interesting. I'll go next with Bro the 5. Umberto Rispoli gets the mount here, and this one comes out of an optional claiming win. They tried the Echo Eddie, didn't work out sprinting. Frankly, nowhere to be found that day. But before that, did win a maiden over the sprint. I think that the keeping Umberto here, going 2 turns again, this horse has a serious shot for Doug O'Neill to get the job done as well. I know you have that horse third in your handicapping. In between them, you've got Cali Cat.
Yeah, Cali Cat's another one that has a little bit of versatility to her. Came off the pace and won on the lead. But it's hard to tell when these horses stretch out. She does have a win at a mile, which is encouraging. The last workout is pretty decent, and the stretch out numbers for Sadler are very, very good. So I expect this horse to give her best shot. American Pharaoh out of a more than ready dam seems like this horse should be able to run all day on the turf.
What do you how many would you use in this race in your turf pick 3?
I would single the 7, to be honest with you.
Okay, you play the 7 by itself. I'm interested because I think that 5's got a really, really serious shot here. And I wonder with Style Cat if I'm missing something, because the horse did perform well in that Cal Cup Derby. It was on dirt, but if I'm going to give other horses a shot in other races going turf to dirt, then why would I not give a horse a shot here going dirt to turf? I'm with you. I think the 7 is the absolute class for Andy Mathis, for Armando Ayuso here. But since I'm going to be singling in the second leg, maybe I'll have to play one where I have the 4 singled, the 7 singled at the end, kind of go real tight on it. Maybe play that for $10, $20 total ticket, something like that. But that would be my turf pick 3 for the weekend as well. Hey, is there another race around the country that you're looking forward to this weekend? Stakes at Monmouth, obviously. I'm going to be doing a preview. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to be doing a preview for Monday at Santa Anita for Memorial Day for their big card. You're welcome to join me for sure, Barry. But
I actually already did one
around the country.
DRF.
That's even better. There you go. So where can people find that?
It's actually on X and on their YouTube page.
Perfect.
Not really. I think actually California's might be the focus of a lot of my action this weekend.
Yeah, Saturday's card.
I like Saturday's card. I like Monday's card. So yeah, there's a lot of good races around the country. So definitely keep your eyes open for those prices.
I talked with Matt Dinnerman on the Horse Racing Happy Hour yesterday. We talked Preakness, Oaklawn, got into a little bit of Monmouth with him as well. So if you want to hear what's going on with Matt Dinnerman, you're certainly welcome to check out that episode. You can always find my segments 10:20 on Friday here at ESPN Louisville. Stream that anywhere in the world. It's always horse racing. I even hear from guys like Barry Spears. How about that? And competent people like Brian Nadeau, who really knows his stuff. He's got such a nice fade, but it really bothers me, Barry. Soul patch and fade.
He's not even, he's very confident about showing that off too. So he likes to rub it in everybody's face.
And then you got Safi with the chest hair and the man bun, and I don't know what's going on at Gulfstream, but it's Ron Nicoletti's got great hair. It bothers me, Barry. It bothers me.
I mean, it's in the water, we got it like that down here.
Oh man, it must be. Well, he's Barry Spears. I'm Louie Rabeau. This has been another edition of SoCal Saturdays. Make sure you check out our friends at AmWager. Get that AmWager edge today. That platform for you, designed by horse players. Speed, power, top tier features. Go get in with them right now. A 100% deposit match up to $150. Get your edge. Get AmWager today. For Barry Spears, my name's Louie Rabeau. We will catch you next week on SoCal Saturdays. Good luck this weekend. Hopefully you got some time off. You're going to be able to enjoy the weather or wherever it is that you're hanging out. Again, for Barry, I'm Louie. We'll see you next week.